we should mention that there's expectations of Jordan Love getting a new contract. Like this, none of it is surprising. What I think is surprising is Adam Schefter tweeting out that Jordan Love, when this deal gets done, could be the highest paid player in the NFL. That part to me is surprising. Because even though he obviously outperformed anybody's expectations last year, and he's supposed to make $8 million this year, and they've been able to build a really young, vibrant team with him on the cheap, and now he appears to be, he's going to be the guy for the next at least 5 years. Being under contract and still being pretty early on in terms of the volume of starts he's gotten, it feels weird to give a guy the biggest contract ever, doesn't it, to anybody else? And especially for the Packers, somebody who's been relatively conservative. Now, like it's very important to not do business with the FU mentality. Right? I'll give you an example. Like I didn't take this job, and I am not playing Oklahoma State as an FU to my alma mater who chose to hire somebody different than me. Like I don't think that's a healthy way to operate. I nearly did that once in my life when I switched schools from Notre Dame to Oklahoma State. Obviously, everyone knows a lot of what went into the Notre Dame switch, but not everything. But the point is, I nearly went to Marquette. And I think at least a portion of it was because, hey, every year, Notre Dame plays Marquette. But I don't think that you give Jordan Love a gigantic contract simply because everybody doubted him, and it's a way to say to Aaron Rodgers on the way out the door. But he's obviously going to get a deal. And if you want to hearken back, no one ever harkens forward. They always harken back. If you want to harken back to when he was drafted, I said at the time made complete sense. Packers never drafted in the top 10. He was a potential top 10 prospect. He was coming off a disappointing second year, different coach at Utah State, but he was a couple years away. And if he was developed right, he could be a really good quarterback. That has happened. Here's the Packers GM, Brian Gutekunst, when he addressed the Jordan Love's contract situation yesterday.
We're very down the road as far as we know that he's our franchise quarterback, and we're ready to move forward. It's not like we're trying to make that decision. But at the same time, we want to put the best team around him we can, and we want to make sure that there's certainly the structure of it so that we can do what we need to do for our football team moving forward, not only this year but in years to come, is very, very important. Again, like I said, this is just part of it, not unexpected, and we'll work to get it done, and hopefully he won't miss too much time, because it is, we got a lot of work to do. We think we have a very good football team, but we got to come together as a team, and he's a big part of that. So him being out there is important for us.
It's Doug Gottlieb Show here on Fox Sports Radio. Yeah, I mean, he's there. It feels like there are a couple of I's being dotted, T's being crossed from getting this thing done. But what an amazing 180, right? I mean, look, we are all occupying the same space as radio hosts, and there's some really talented people who profess to be football people, some that work with us, some that work with other places, okay? We have some really talented people, and I know two of them that said Jordan Love can't play last year. Couldn't play. Like, he stinks, can't play. Not he's okay, not temper the enthusiasm, not he can be a game manager. Specifically said there are lots of things that Jordan, again, I'm not paraphrasing, lots of things Jordan Love may be good at. Football is not one of them. To go from that to the highest paid player in the league, and I think that would be an overpay, and I'd love to see the actually what the finances look like, but you listen to Brian Gutekunst, that's their quarterback of the future. That's what they want. This is their guy of the future. And they want cost certainty, so they will lock him in for long term. To go from last year this time, where, again, I can name at least two people who host national shows, one of whom on this network said he can't play. And it wasn't me, by the way. I can't think of a more, fascinating 180 than what people are doing today. But I'm not alone, though, thinking if it was over 50, it's an overpay, isn't it?
It's funny because yesterday as I was in for you, I know that the team in the NFL usually has all of the leverage, and I think that's probably the same in this case. But I do think that Jordan Love has a little bit more than maybe others or in previous situations because of the Aaron Rodgers situation. There isn't a safety net behind Jordan Love. But I think to your point of what you're saying and what Brian Gutekunst is saying is Aaron Rodgers took the Packers negotiations so personally, and whether he was right or wrong to do that for what he provided for the team and the franchise, that's a whole different argument. But I don't think that they looked at it personally. And to think that they would look at Jordan Love and make a personal decision with him just being there the short amount of time that he's been there compared to what Aaron Rodgers has been there, I just think would be foolish to think that they would make that emotional decision. So with all that being said, you're probably right in terms of where they would want to pay him, although I would not blink an eye if they gave him over $50 million.
No, I can only tell you that in this town where the Packers are everything, I have not heard anyone say, like, don't pay him. What are we doing? Right?
Yeah.
No one. No one. It's all like he is beloved, and they think he's got it, and they think there's still more great football in him. And, I would love to see a little bit more in terms of a little bit more play, but, dude, it is crazy on how many people were wrong. And I think my issue with them being wrong is they were wrong for the wrong reasons. Right? Remember, we had seen him fill in for Aaron the year before, and he looked really, really good. And yet there still wasn't the buy-in.
Sure.
Then Rodgers leaves, and before he had been the starting quarterback and been the guy, there's people saying he can't play. And it's like, wait, did you have information that no one else had? Are you talking to people with the Packers? Because both of these people I know profess to be somehow inside, the locker room, inside the beltway, if you will, about their knowledge with the Packers. I was like, man, maybe they know something we don't, that he can't play. I want to see a guy play 16 games, now 17, and then I want to see him play 17 more. And, after about 2 years, you kind of figure it out. But he's got a little Aaron to his game in his ability to make plays off script. He's got that athleticism. He's got the kind of wrist snap of Aaron. He delivers the football, and off the field, there's not an issue there. And I think he's really well liked by his dudes. Like, it's interesting on the juxtaposition of if he becomes anywhere near, like, let's not heap expectations of Favre or Rodgers, but if he can become the starting quarterback for 5 years, and you put him, the juxtaposition of Favre, who is beloved but not a study guy and just kind of an off-script guy, to Aaron Rodgers, who is a never turned over, kind of a curmudgeon, was liked by guys but can run hot and cold, and kind of kept to himself and very private in his personal life, to Jordan Love, who seems to be much more of one of the guys and kind of this young group, and how he plays and sort of his own style of playing, how Aaron plays. It's a really interesting, going to be interesting to see what the final bottom line is. The expectations is it's 50 a year. How he plays now when he's held to a greater level of expectation because of that money. And can he evolve into the quarterback who, at his best last year, looked like one of the 5-10 best in the league? It wasn't the whole season, but there were times last year.
Yeah, in the second half of the season, and even that 49ers game that they lost in the playoffs, like, you're thinking, wow, this could be something. For sure. Yeah.
Could be something.